First window that we're presented with is the welcome screen, and we can click next, and then we're prompted for the new table name. Now I usually prefix all of my entities with MP, so I'm going to call this particular table MP_patient. As it says here, the table names must start with a letter, and they can only contain numbers and underscores. There are no other characters allowed, so I'm okay with my underscore here. We click next, and we are prompted for a table location. Now by default, things normally go into the data vol. If we were doing this in the main tool set, it would come up with data vol. I normally put my tables into a special location, and under my copy of RevSoft, the one I'm working with today, I have got a folder called Clinic Data, and that's the one that I'm going to be putting my data in. So if we click next, we are prompted to enter the column names and indicate whether or not it's a key field, its data type, justification and length. Now let's just have a little look at those particular prompts before we go ahead and fill them in. So the column name defines the name of the column or the data field, and in this particular instance it's simply going to be a hospital number. The key field is a Boolean yes or no value, which defines the value as a key value. Multi-part keys are also allowed. The key is a unique data string used to identify a record. There's no significant impact if you modify a key prior to entering data. However, if you change the key columns for existing data to a new or different column, you change the way you view and access that data. Therefore, you'll need to massage the data with a basic plus program so that you can view records based on the new key. The data type isn't actually used in the toolset other than to predefine a set of defaults for edit patterns, justifications and widths, but it's still required for ADVC compatibility. I'm just going to leave mine is the varchar. And next we're prompted for the justification. So justification can be left, right or central. We'll go left. And the length of our column. Now the length defines the standard length of the column. However, the column is auto sizing. Remember I spoke about variable length earlier on. So it's not imperative to get this right at this stage. So I'm just going to accept 20 as the default. When we're done, we just click next. And our wizard is complete, so we can just click finish. That creates our table, and we can see our table here with our key position, hospital number, varchar, yes it's a key, and the other information. Before we go on, let's just take a few moments to look at the interface now that we've got a few of the buttons enabled. We've got our menu bar at the top here and then our toolbar. So just looking at the toolbar, we've got a new button for creating a new table. We've got open, which displays the open file dialog box to view or roll to an existing data dictionary, and we have the ability to save the currently displayed dictionary with any changes. The print button selects and prints data dictionaries to the system printer, and we have the ability to insert a new data column at the currently selected edit table position. The next button is the add calculated column button. This inserts a calculated column definition in the table at the selected position in the calculated columns edit table. This is the edit table here. This calls the calculated attributes window where you can define the formula for the calculated column, and we'll do one of those a little bit later. The next button is insert synonym, and this simply inserts a synonym for the currently selected column. We also have the ability to remove a column definition from the dictionary. And there's a help button as well, which displays various help topics, and also we've got the ability to search for column details as well. Now this edit table here is the data columns edit table, and this provides a space for entering column definitions including the column name, data type, key, not null and default, as we looked at just a moment ago. And the table builder automatically completes a position column which indicates the position key or the synonym if applicable. So if I come down and click on the next available row and I enter in some additional data, so we'll add in surname, and I just use the arrow keys to go through these, you'll see that the defaults are being entered for me. I'm quite happy to accept those for the moment. The calculated column area down here, this is where our calculated columns are entered, and they enable you to enter calculated column definitions, including the column name, data type, and the formula. And we'll go ahead and, as I said, and look at creating one of those a little later. Further down this particular window, we have the group columns for entering group column data, and on the details menu option there is show column details. Now this is worthwhile to put this on because it gives you some basic information about the columns, so the justification, the length, the output conversion, so you don't have to keep going into the properties window. And to get into the properties window, you simply double click the column name. The domain area enables us to set a data type. Now for this particular application I want to set the hospital number to an integer. I just want to have a number. And it also enables us to set a default. There's a number in here, counters and dates and things. Now I want to choose your sequential key so that when I'm creating a new record, OpenInsight will take the next number and assign it as the unique ID for the record. We can also set the not null. That will force the user to enter some data. Well, we're going to be dropping in the data automatically, but this makes sure that there is going to be an ID for our record. And we can also select for this column to be multi-valued. Now, we'd use multi-value for maybe an address or a telephone number. You'd never use that for the sequential keys, so we'll just leave that one unchecked for the moment. Data validation, down here you can double click and it will give you a list of valid input validations. So in here I could choose a European date, for instance, or a time, or a Boolean, phone formats, etc. So there's lots of predefined masks for you, and you can simply select the appropriate value to set the input validation, or you can overwrite those with your own choice. I don't need anything in there at the moment, so I will leave that alone. And the output validation can be selected from the drop down list, and obviously that's how it will be outputted to the screen. The position key signifies that this is the key column in the table and it's checked, and the position signifies which row in the table the column can be found. So in this instance it's in position 1. Display defines how the data will be shown on the form's control. So we've got our justification, left, right, or text, and the length, which defines the default value for how long the form's control will be. We also have our column heading for how it will display in our report, so we can change that if we want to, and I'll leave it alone at the moment. And we can add in a description of the column usage. So this is my record ID using a sequential key. You don't necessarily need to put the description in there, but it's useful, particularly when you use the automated documentation features within OpenInsight. Indexes, we're not actually going to be using indexes within this tutorial, but I could set this to have a B-tree index or an XREV index, or even a relational index if I want to. So when we're done, we just click OK to go back to the main table builder window. Now we use the wizard to create this table, but what you can do is just use the new button and you're presented with the create a new table dialog window. Now this gives you the same sort of information that we had before with a few other options. Now I'm not actually going to create another table, but it's worthwhile just reviewing this particular form if you decide to do it this way rather than using the wizard. So the table information, as I said, is the path that specifies the location of the data tables. Defaults to data vol. Remember, in the wizard it prompted us, and we can click the browse button to browse out to where we want our data to be located. Once a table's been created, if we look at that folder, you'll see that a selection of files with LKNOV file extensions are in there, and these are the table files, and they can only be viewed within OpenInsight itself. We're then prompted for a table name. Now this is the unique name for the data table. Valid table names can include a maximum of 50 characters. They must begin with an alpha character, and they can include uppercase, A to Z, 0 to 9, and the underscore. However, they cannot be a system reserved open list words such as select, with, sort, etc. We then have the application names. Now this lists all of the applications in our copy of OpenInsight. We're working with clinics, so we're happy. And if we want to, we could put a description in here. So this is my patient record information if this was the patient record table.